Hi guys, welcome to Daily Change of Mind. I'm Stephen Clemens. Today is May 25th, 2019. How y'all doing today? I figured I'd bring you another message while I'm on my break today. And we're going to continue on the theme of the last message that I did concerning discipleship. And the struggles that I've been going through concerning that, and hopefully that was an encouragement for you to get back into the fight of faith and to get busy in this great commission that God has called us all to participate in. And today the purpose is to further illustrate the importance of why we need to get involved. If you did not already know the importance of it from the last message I did. And today we're going to be, if you want to turn to it, in 1 Corinthians chapter 3. And because in the last message I said if we're not involved in the Great Commission and doing what God has commanded us to do, that we are good for nothing. But if we are involved in it, in reaching the lost, and doing what brings glory to God, we will receive reward for our efforts. And that one day we will give an account of those efforts at the judgment seat of Christ. So the question I want to ask you today is, what are you going to bring to the table when facing Christ at the judgment seat of Him? What are you going to present to Him? And it might seem foreign asking that question, because you might be like, well, what do you mean by presenting to Him? I'm saved and I thought that's all I needed. And I agree that salvation in Jesus Christ and trusting in the finished work of Him is all that is needed to make it into eternity with Him. But as I've said countless times now, there's more to it than just your salvation. And in this topic of discipleship, especially today, we cannot bring salvation into the equation here, because that's not the focus or the intention here. Salvation has nothing to do with this topic. This is what happens after salvation. So with that, like I said, we're in 1 Corinthians chapter 3. And here in this chapter, there's many divisions going on in the church at Corinth. And Paul is writing his letter there because there's some who are, as it says, starting in verse 4, says, "For while one saith, I am of Paul, and another say, I'm of Apollos." So there's different divisions there of certain people saying, well, I'm a follower of Paul, I'm a follower of Apollos, so on and so forth. And Paul's going to lay the record straight. And he says in verse 6, or starting in verse 5, "Who then is Paul and who is Apollos, but ministers by whom ye believed, even as the Lord gave to every man? I have planted and Apollos watered, but God gave the increase. So then neither is he that planteth anything, neither is he that watereth anything, but God that giveth the increase." And in verse 8 is where I want to start, now that you have a little bit of background. But it's concerning discipleship. In verse 8 it states, "Now he that planteth and he that watereth are one, and every man shall receive his own reward according to his own labor. Circle the word reward. In the Greek in which this was written in, it's the word misthos. It literally means pay or wages received for services completed, whether those services were good or bad, and whether or not they are good or bad determines the amount of pay or wages that a person will receive. So read it again. Every man shall receive his own pay, his own wages, according to his own labor, whether or not that labor was good or bad. That's why I'm trying to state to you that we will receive rewards for our efforts, whether they are good or bad. And whether or not they are good or bad will determine the rewards that we get, or the pay that we will receive. Verse 9, for we are laborers together with God. Ye are God's husbandry, and ye are God's building. Verse 10, according to the grace of God which is given unto me as a wise master builder, I have laid the foundation, and another buildeth thereon upon that foundation. But let every man take heed how he buildeth thereupon. Read that again. But let every man take heed. Literally, that carries a meaning of, but let every man take heed, or watch with intensity how he buildeth upon the foundation that has been laid. What foundation has been laid? What foundation is that? Verse 11. For other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Jesus Christ. And what is the foundation that Jesus Christ laid? If you go to, you don't have to turn there, but if you want to, you can. Matthew 16. And starting in verse 13, when Jesus came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, whom do men say that I am? Whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And they said, some say that thou art John the Baptist, some say Elias, and others Jeremiah, and one of them, or one of the prophets. And he saith unto them, but whom say ye that I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And he continues on and says, and Jesus answered and said unto him, blessed thou art, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. So the foundation which was laid was that Jesus Christ was the Son of the living God, whom God has sent. And you can see that in John 3. Verse 17. Or starting verse 16 through 17. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whomsoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Verse 17. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed the name of the Son, believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. So there's the foundation. He's the Son of the living God, whom the Father has sent to save the world. That's the foundation that was already laid. And we are to build upon that foundation. And what are we building? The answer is we are building a house. A house of what? Back to Matthew 16 again. Hopefully I'll be able to get through all this. Matthew 16. Verse 18. And I say unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon this rock, the foundation. Who? Jesus Christ. I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So we are building a house, a church, the ecclesia, as it says in the Greek for church, a house of the out-called ones, the ones who've been called out of the world, who were lost. Just like me and you were lost before Christ, but now are saved. But who's the one doing the calling? We are. Because remember where I started this message. I asked, what are you bringing to the table at the judgment seat of Christ? What are you presenting to Christ? Because as we read in 1 Corinthians 3, we will receive pay or wages, rewards, for our service that is done in the here and now for the cause of Christ. And that pay will be wages or rewards will be based upon the quality of service that we put into action to build the house of the outcalled ones. I hope you got that. I hope you understand what I'm saying there. If you don't, go back and review this message however many times you need to review it until you understand what I am saying. Now let's look at the quality of service. Back in the original text that we started from, 1 Corinthians chapter 3. Verse 12. Now if any man build upon this foundation, the foundation being Jesus Christ, and if any man build upon that foundation gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, and stubble. The quality of our service that we put into action to build the house of the outcalled ones is going to be either gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, or stubble. And I want you to notice that there's 6 of them, and the first 3, the gold, silver, and precious stones, they carry a certain quality about them. They are valuable. They are not perishable. They will stand the test of time. Which brings me to the point of I'm trying to get across to you how these things apply to eternity. Because I don't know about you, but that's where I'm going, and I hope all of y'all are coming with me. That's where our focus should be, is in eternity. And the quality of our service in here and now will determine the type of rewards that we will receive that will last throughout eternity. Notice the last three. Wood, hay, and stubble. They have no value. They are perishable. And they will not stand the test of time throughout eternity. You got it? In verse 13, every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it has been revealed. It shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work for what sort it is. So the quality of service that we put forth to build the house of the Lord will be revealed. Whether it's good or bad, perishable or imperishable, at that judgment seat of Christ. Again, this has nothing to do with salvation. It strictly has to do with your good works or service for the Lord. Verse 14. If any man's work abide which he hath built thereupon, upon the foundation of Jesus Christ, which will never fade away or perish, never go away. If any man's work abide which he hath built thereupon, he shall receive a reward. This is saying that when the fire of God, of Jesus Christ, reveals your work, the quality of your work or service, and if it is deemed good, meaning that it was of gold, silver, and precious stones, then it will not be burned by that fire. And you will receive your pay. As it said, if any man's work abide which he hath built thereupon, he shall receive a reward for their service. I hope this is clear to you. I'm almost done. Verse 15. But if any man's work shall be burned, he shall suffer loss. But he himself shall be saved, yet so as by fire. This is why I'm telling you that I hear it all the time. Well, as long as I make it into heaven, that's good enough for me. Are you serious? Do you realize that yes, you will make it into eternity because you have been saved by Christ? But you will face judgment also by Christ. And if, like I said in the last message, if all you do is take salvation, the free gift that has been given to you, and forsake the rest of it, you'll be saved, but you are good for nothing, and you will suffer loss at the judgment seat of Christ. You will make it into eternity. That's why it says in verse 15, but if any man's work shall be burned, he shall suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved, yet so as by fire. But if all you do is take the free gift for granted and forsake the rest of it, and do not give yourself in service to the Lord. You will suffer loss. You will receive no rewards, no pay, no wages. They will be burned by fire. Makes it seem like there's going to be some pretty disappointed people when they get to the judgment seat of Christ. I'm sure I'm going to suffer some loss. Don't get me wrong. Entering through the gates into eternity with Christ is one of the greatest gifts we could ever receive. But Christ wants to give us more. Not everybody in eternity is going to have the same amount of rewards, pay, or wages, whatever those things may be. All I know is that they are eternal and they last forever. But not everyone will have the same amount of rewards. So I hope you understand now why it's so important to get involved. The things that are going to be gold, silver, and precious stones are only going to be the things that are for the cause of Christ and what He has commanded upon your life and what brings glory to God. Those are the things that will last for eternity. So I ask again, and this is where I'm closing, I ask again, what are you bringing to the table to present at the judgment seat of Christ? Are you presenting gold, silver, or precious stones? Or are you going to present wood, hay, and stubble? My prayer is that I present more gold, silver, and precious stones than wood, hay, and stubble. To suffer the least amount of loss. So that's my message. I hope you got it. I hope you understand it. Let's get in the race. Let's get in the fight. Let's get busy. And that's my message. Thanks for watching.